Welcome to the Somos Sunnyside podcast, brought to you by the Communications Department of the Sunnyside Unified School District. Thank you for tuning in while we share stories about the bright side of education.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Somos Sunnyside. That's right, we are Sunnyside and we have a great episode for you today. Kicking off the new year, that's right, we are in 2026. So happy new year to all of you. Wishing you the very best in this upcoming year, and hopefully you all have had a great holiday season, some time to relax, some time to reflect, and most importantly, some time to spend with your family. So hopefully you behaved and Santa Claus brought you what you wanted. Speaking of special guests, we have Jet Sports Training in the house today. We got Mr. Bobby Rodriguez and Jose Felix here today. So welcome. How are you guys?
Doing well. Happy 2026, everybody.
Doing well. Thank you for having us.
All right, man. So these guys are well known in the community. They are alumni of Sunnyside High School, of the Sunnyside Unified School District. And so, it's always great to have individuals like this on the show to highlight what they're doing in the community. This Somos Sunnyside podcast is about highlighting the great things that are occurring in our special community of Sunnyside. And these guys play a big role in that. And so, being former graduates, it's always great to see that, they're doing well. They're giving back. They're successful graduates. They were student athletes, and they know firsthand what it takes to be a successful student athlete. So let's start here with Bobby the Jet, right? He's known as Bobby the Jet. Bobby played football for us back in the day when we coached. So tell us a little bit about your background, Bobby. I know a lot of people know you, but for those people that don't, tell us a little bit about, where you went to school, what year you graduated, and what sports you played in high school.
Yeah, so I'm Bobby the Jet Rodriguez. I got the Jet while my time at Sunnyside. But let's rewind the clock way back prior to that. I started off at Old Liberty, and then my mom was a teacher at Esperanza Elementary, and I went to Esperanza. I followed, after that I went to Sierra Middle School, and then that's when I ended up at Sunnyside High School. So I played football there for the Blue Devils from 03 to 06. A lot of people that don't know, obviously there was 2 championship runs in my time at Sunnyside, and our superintendent, then Coach Castellan, now Superintendent Castellan, was one of our coaches. So it was a really good time. I learned a lot of life lessons, a lot of what I learned at Sunnyside through our football program. We implement at Jet Sports Training today. I did play around with some track and field and baseball while my time at Sunnyside, but my main jam was football. And again, I got the opportunity to go to Pima College after that and then transfer to the U of A. Just football in general opened up a lot of doors for me, and I'm forever grateful for my coaches and to the sport of football. So that's a little bit about me and my Sunnyside journey. So yeah.
That's awesome. And Jose, so what year did you graduate?
I graduated, I'm class of 2007 of Sunnyside.
07 grad. Jose, what class are you?
I graduated in 09 from Sunnyside High School. So I went to Liberty Elementary, Apollo Middle School, and then Sunnyside in 09.
All right. And what sports did you play there at Sunnyside?
So came up playing baseball under Palomares, Moraga, Rosenhausler. So did my 4 years at Sunnyside playing, but that's where the road ended for me in terms of athletics.
Mm-hmm.
So after high school, went to NAU, got my bachelor's degree in exercise science, and after that, I was in the crossroads where I wanted to become a physical therapist, stay within my realm of what I studied, but my brother at the time was playing minor league baseball, so got to train him in the off seasons. Started doing some independent stuff from coaches that taught me here at Sunnyside. So Coach Rosenhausler had the basketball team at the time, and I reached out to him, and he would let me train his guys in the off season. So I was doing like freelance work while I was making my mind up whether I wanted to do physical therapy. And in that moment, right around 2017, is when I met up with Bobby at a mutual friend's wedding, and we just, he decided to take me in. We collaborated, and the rest is history. You had Jet, jet sports training with some clients at the park, and he was doing some stuff at the studios, and that's when I jumped on board.
Awesome. So, and that's, you just kind of answered a little bit of my next question. I mean, you two are former student athletes. I think, obviously you guys are both successful as athletes, and you know what it takes, to perform at a high level. And so how did the idea come about? I think everybody knows jet sports. You guys are in social media a lot, all over social media. Your name's out there, your name's respected for what you guys do. My question to you is how did it all start, Bobby? When I wanted to know how this all came to fruition and how you built your team, because whatever you put your name on, you want it to be successful, right?
Sure.
And so tell us a little bit about that.
So again, not a coincidence that this is the Somos Sunnyside podcast, but it did start at Sunnyside. I was 14 years old, and I just fell in love with the process that we were doing at football, and then seeing the championships and the championship runs that we had. And I go back, and I'm really big on numbers, and we trained 49 weeks out of a 52-week calendar when it came to football. We had the week after the season was over, 1 week off, and then we would get the 4th of July week off, and then the week before school. So with that said, I just really fell in love with the volume training, but then also the consistency, because that was the first time in my life that I had something so consistent in my life. And then I was seeing from the team and individually the results were starting to happen. So in my life, I just said, you know what, I want to apply something like this to my everyday life, but then most importantly, a business and impact the community. So little by little, through the parks, I started training athletes, and so I would sneak into wrestling room. Shout out to Buddy Lozano at Desert View. I would go in there and work guys out, and obviously at Sunnyside, my alma mater, I'd sneak in the wrestling rooms in there, and they're just consistent with the athletes, and showing them, hey, if you just put in those daily deposits, big coin comes out. So that's how it started, and like Jose said, it just came one summer night where we were at a wedding together, and we were just sharing ideas, and I just said, hey man, this just makes sense. Let's just collab and run away with it, and like you, when you're my coach, let's just show up every single day and give it everything you got. We might get home at 9, 10 o'clock at night, but it is what it is. We're impacting communities, and it's bigger than us, and we're coming up on 10 years of working together, and yeah, we're here.
I would say it's pretty successful. I think you hit on something, a little earlier about, I think student athletes don't get the respect they deserve sometimes, not only in the classroom, but the work, outside of the classroom. I mean, it takes a special discipline to be successful, right?
For
and
sure.
so you were referring to back in the coaching days, and when, we worked out 49 out of the 52 weeks in the year, because we knew that's what it took, right?
Mm-hmm.
We knew that's what it took, and it's like Groundhog's Day. You start all over. You start all over, and you do it different, and you adjust, and you make it better. I think what I'm trying to point out here is this piece of life lessons and skill sets, right?
Right.
What you learn in sports, what you learn in the gym, what you learn in training, you can apply to everyday life, and it teaches you discipline. It teaches you to show up. It teaches you to be that reliable teammate in your work area, whether that's on the field, whether that's at work, and it teaches you, to win, right? I mean, people don't like to use that word, right? People are scared to say it's okay if you lose. Well, in my book, it's not okay if you lose, right? I mean, it's nobody likes losing. Nobody does, right? I mean, I don't think anybody's out there intentionally trying to lose, but we like winning more than we like losing.
For sure.
And so, Jose, talk a little bit about that, because I think not only are you guys training athletes, you're training young people, man. You're training young people to make good decisions, on the field, off the field, and you're training them how to be successful in life, right?
Yeah, that's a big part of our program too, is really tapping into not just the physical training aspect of it, but the mental training. We really want to make sure that they're getting, stuff taken care of, not just in the field or in the training room, but at home, academically, Because ultimately, if all those are not, all those realms are not being tapped into, then that's going to affect, the way maybe a scout can see you or how you perform on the field. So as young kids, we do understand how much influence we have on these 8, 9, 10, 11-year-olds. And what we say, it goes a long way. We've got parents that are pretty established coaches, up to varsity coaches, college coaches, where they come in and they ask us, like, look, I know my stuff and I take them out to the field, but it just doesn't resonate. So, what can you do that's going to actually like penetrate into their brain? And it happens a lot where we can say, our message, and it does really get ingrained into their into how they think, how they go about their ways. So we understand the role that we play with having them in, up to 5 hours every week. So the program is very reflective on how life goes in our system. So by that I mean, the warm up is very technical. Don't cut corners. Don't take it too easy on the warm up. Then we go into, when it comes to speed training, look, let's clean up the skills, let's clean up the mechanics. And then that last half hour, man, is just, grit, grind, sweat, effort, intensity. We got all the clean stuff taken care of, but let's handle business and let's see what you got when you can't breathe, when you're grasping for air. So every training hour is very reflective on, how we want kids' mentalities to be too. So.
Yeah, I mean, and I've had the opportunity to witness it firsthand, and being in there and getting the invite to check it out. I mean, I even joined, I think, a parent training class one day, and I haven't been back ever since, man. So I think you guys trained me out of there, but no. And what I love about it is everything is very intentional, right? I mean, there's intention behind the outcomes. There's intention, and I love that you said that. I think sometimes for parents who are coaches, right, and even just any coach in general, sometimes we have a hard time being vulnerable, passing the torch, right? So I don't know, I'm going to coach my own kid, and I know what I got to teach them, and sometimes it takes passing the torch to a facility like Jet Sports Training, to other trainers that do this every single day, do it with different athletes, do it with different sports to get them to the next level. I mean, a lot of our young children grow up wanting to be the next, sports star, right. And so, the parents try to give their kids the benefit, every benefit they can, every opportunity they can to be successful. And it's pretty slick what you guys have done the last, 10 years, being risk takers, being entrepreneurs, in terms of taking that risk. I'll be the first to say, like, I've never been like that risk taker to say, I got this idea, I'm going to chase it and see what happens. Mm-hmm. It takes special people. It takes a special vision to have, and look what you have now. I mean, you guys have this, man, you have it down packed. What I'm curious to hear is, like, what's next, man? What's like the next big thing? You guys have, definitely have an audience. You definitely have a following. I love, looking at all sports, in terms of the little segments you guys do in there. Oh. Then you guys got Raul Romero, at games. He's doing his social media pieces. And I love that because you guys aren't done just in the gym. Mm-hmm. It's you're reaching out, you're using social media, you're displaying your athletes, the athletes you train, and so you're hitting it from all angles. And to me, it just shows the type of people you guys are, right? It's successful people are never satisfied, right? Mm-hmm. And that successful people know that there's no finish line, man. Like you've never arrived, and you got to keep working. So what's your drive, man? What keeps you guys going? I mean, because it's got to be tiring. I mean, I coached for 12 years and I got home exhausted every single day, right? And you guys are doing this for a living. And so, and I know you're not getting paid like professional coaches and these well, maybe you are, but no. We don't know. No, I'm kidding. So, these guys are making millions of dollars, and, you guys are at it, and great thing is you're making a living out of it. But like, what's your drive? What's the next thing? You guys are visionary. What's your vision here?
I believe that because we have evidence that keeps us going. For instance, to see the youth athletes win in Little League, go into the Oregons, the Western Regionals, and then we have our youth football players winning city championships, state championships, softball players doing the same thing. So that helps. I know it helps me. I know it helps Jose continue to show up every day. And then at the higher levels, we got state and national champions in the high school ranks, and then we get up to the college ranks where we have more evidence, like Roman Bravo Young winning NCAA titles, being Olympian. So things like that is just, hey, these are individuals from our community that look like me and you, that come up from upbringings like me and you, making big splashes in their field and in their sports. So that is what gets me, I wouldn't say showing up every day, but that's what gets me excited. And I'm a pretty hard person to get excited, but that stuff gets me excited. So that's the way I see it. And that's what keeps me showing up every single day. Kind of back to my days at Sunnyside. Like, you're not gonna get rid of me. I'm gonna stay in your face, and I'm just gonna keep coming every single day. So that's my way of it.
No, I agree. And because of these kids that they do start out as kids, and you watch them develop over the years and then make great names for themselves. I could say the same thing. That's what wakes me up. That's what gives me that drive, and that's what gives us more of ultimately a platform to want to reach more people in our community. So just to tap into the what's next, I do credit Bobby with a lot of the navigation and I call it pulling upwards, because we're in the grit and grind of the things at the gym. So we're lucky that we have enough work and clientele, but he's always asking those questions, and he's always initiating more action to what's next. Like you mentioned, the Jet Sports Network. That's been something that has it's still in its inception stage, I say, and it's an untapped market, really, because we want to put our kids in our backyard on stage. And Raul, shout out to Raul Soto Romeo. He's doing a great job. He's out there. We've been to games together where he's on the sidelines hustling and getting all the highlights. So in terms of what's next, I mean, if you want to touch up on everything.
Yeah. So again, touching up on the Jet Sports Network, a lot of times the local media and the big, I like to call them the big media, they don't highlight all the athletes that deserve the recognition within our districts or just within our own neighborhoods. So we give those athletes that deserve the recognition their time to shine, and that's why I came up with the idea of the Jet Sports Network, doing interviews with leaders of the community, with programs and with coaches and athletes. So that's what we want to do. And then what's next for Jet Sports Training is, it's in the making right now at Mosaic Quarter. It's right next door to Keno, right off of
big construction site.
Big construction site.
Right there at Keno.
That's where So if you're in traffic in the morning, you know why. That's what it is.
That's right.
But what's going on there is the Mosaic Quarter. It's a $1 billion project that's collaborated with the county. We're going to move in there. We're looking somewhere between 2029. We're still a couple years out, but that's where we're going to move. There'll be a field house ready in 2027. We'll play around in there as well. But yeah, that's what's coming up for Jet Sports Training.
Huge.
And it's kind of cool. The field house will be ready in 2027, and that'll be the exact 10-year marker that Jose and I started working side by side. So I don't see it as a coincidence, 10 years later, look what happened. But it's just a testament to showing up every day and being consistent and putting the community first, because that's really what we're about, is community. He's a community person. This community raised us, and yeah, it's exciting at the end of the day.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go away. We got a lot more to talk about with Bobby the Jet Rodriguez and Jose Felix.
You will love SUSD. Don't believe us? Just watch. In Sunnyside Unified School District, students dream big, learn boldly, and grow confidently. From hands-on STEM and arts programs to student athletes earning athletic scholarships, Sunnyside District gives every student a place to shine. Enrollment for the 26-27 school year is now available. Enroll today at susd12.org.
All right, we are back. Bobby the Jet Rodriguez. Jose, you got to have a nickname, man. You need to call like Bobby the Jet. There's no Jose the Missile or the Rocket or nothing like that.
He's the best basketball player on our staff. That's for
is
sure.
he? All right.
He knows the crown.
He's the Mamba.
Yeah.
He's the brown Mamba.
Yeah, he's the brown Mamba. We have a basketball hoop inside of Jet Sports Training.
Okay.
He's got the Kobe effect going on.
All right, man. That's we'll have to come up with something for Jose. But we were just talking about it's so genuine. I think you guys are so loyal and genuine to this community, and it shows. And I think that's definitely part of your success is that people see that right away. Is that you're truly trying to give back to a community that gave you so much, right? And so I firsthand, I know that firsthand just because of my journey, and the role I'm in. I'm grateful for this community who served me for so many years, and now I get to serve this community. When you started talking about Jet Sports Network, I think that is just a brilliant idea because you're right. I think our kids don't get enough recognition, and I say our kids selfishly because I'm here in the South Side, Sunnyside community is my community, but all kids, right, in general, just all kids that are trying to excel, as student athletes, sometimes don't get the recognition that they deserve, and so it's just, it's just a smart move on your guys' part to have Raul out there grabbing these stories that otherwise wouldn't be told, and so, the next thing I wanted to say is that. You guys put in a full day's work. I see you guys in the community, not only in the gym, which you guys are there a lot of hours, but I see you guys at football games. I see you guys at sporting events and other places. And that speaks volumes, of you guys, because that means a lot to parents. And more importantly, it means a lot to the athlete, right? Hey, I saw a coach there. I saw my trainer there. I saw, Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Felix there, and the rest of your staff that goes out. And it's just super unselfishness of you guys. And so a lot of respect for you guys. The other thing is, I just want to thank you guys for being supporters of this district, supporters of Sunnyside, because I know your business can take you in different directions. I know you can have an office on the north side and probably make a lot more money, but you decide to stay here. And tell me if I'm speaking for you, but you decide to stay here because you care about this community, and if you do good work, they'll come to you.
Sure.
Right. And so I want to thank you for that. We've been successful in this district also because of your support. We just passed Proposition 416, which is going to bring $120 million to our district. That bond, it was the biggest bond ever, here on the south side, here in the Sunnyside community, and the community backed us.
Right.
It speaks volumes of our community when we know times are tough. We know it's tough out there right now. The political climate's tough, and things are expensive, and they still understand that they want children in this community to have a positive school experience. And so, they got behind us. And I will say this, I remember a couple years ago, you guys raised money to pay for the outstanding cafeteria bill at Elvira.
Oh, yeah.
And what I mean by that is there was kids that, that hadn't paid for lunch. And of course we fed them, but the bill was building up. And you guys raised money and took care of the outstanding bill. Thankfully now it's free breakfast, free lunch for all students, right? We're in a program where we have that. But a few years ago, it wasn't like that. And so I truly appreciate those community efforts that you guys rally behind, whether it's an override, a bond, paying a cafeteria bill. I think you guys understand the piece of, when you give back, there's good karma there, right?
Always.
And so I want to go into this piece of giving you the stage to talk a little bit about Jet. I know we've been talking a lot about what you guys do, but for those parents out there, those athletes out there that are navigating this, right? Thinking, all right, I want to look into Jet. What can Jet do for me? I think you guys started something that's just, awesome, because I know when I played sports, and probably when you played sports, the only training you got is if you got a personal trainer, right? If you're somebody hired somebody special, and it was a risk, whether you didn't know what you were going to get out of it. And so it was a hitting lesson, a pitching lesson. Let me show you how to throw the football. But what would you say to those parents out there that are thinking, like, why Jet Sports, and why should I go check them out?
Every coach that we have currently at Jet, not only are they college educated, but they're invested in making each athlete they touch get to the next level. So for instance, we have everything scripted from the workouts from Monday through Saturday. And every time an athlete comes in, they got a script that they're going to follow. There's no guesswork at the end of the day. For instance, it's not like, okay, today we're going to do this and tomorrow we're going to do that. And there's progressions going on at Jet, and those parents can see the progressions because we have a thing on, it's called a laser system. So it shows you how fast either you're running or you're not running. And those progressions really help. I'm a big believer in what gets measured gets managed. So we get to manage those numbers when the athlete is there. So again, there's no line in the numbers, and there's no guesswork. So that's one thing that I would tell parents if they're on the fence or they're just interested in what we offer. You guys are going to get some progressions, and you guys are going to see the progress of your athlete throughout the month. It's just not something to guess about. So that's something that parents can look forward to if they're looking into Jet Sports training. I'll let Jose explain a little bit more as well.
Yeah, so with our speed and agility training programs, we start off at the youth level, from ages 8 to about 13, and a lot of that is developmental work, making them more aware of their bodies, coordination, teaching them how to move functionally, move correctly. If you can't do 10 push-ups, why even pick up a barbell, and start benching in that aspect. So with the younger population, is making sure that they're moving right, building a good foundation, so they can transition eventually into a high school program, varsity program, and beyond. And that's exactly what, with the high schoolers, we have them do the speed and agility and teach them the fundamentals of what to expect in not just the varsity weight room, but a college weight room, because we have college athletes currently that are trainers that have been college athletes, and it's exactly catered to that transition. So that way they know exactly what to expect, and it doesn't hit them like a ton of bricks their freshman year and they're behind the buck. So and we also have a different side to the program where it's adult group training. So that's the one that you stepped into, or we've all been told to. Yeah, and you're probably still sore from that, but
I am, man. I haven't recovered quite yet from it.
So it's fun because they run adjacent to the kids' classes, so the parents work out at the same time. You're in there in the same hour. It's efficient. We understand the evenings. Your time is valuable. So a lot of parents work out side to side to their kids, and that program is available to adults 18 and over. So those are the two main drivers of the business. But and then obviously we have the collegiate programs, we have personal training, we have small group training.
Right. So it's tailored to the person, right? I mean,
Correct.
but, and I love that. I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to say, as you take your child, my daughter was there, I was able to participate in the adult class, and although I didn't graduate from there, it was a good experience. And it's what I loved about it. It was kind of like the exact same concept, right? Good in there, the stretch, right. the drills, going harder and harder and harder, and reaching your full potential, right? Taking your body to levels that you don't think it can reach. And so I love that you guys use like these educational terms. In education we use a lot of words like intentionality. Right. We use a lot of words like evidence, and you guys are hammering those words in. And I love that piece, of evidence, because, athletes athletes want feedback, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Bob, you talked a little bit about all your trainers there, all your coaches there. They have athletic experience. They played at the college level. They played at a high level, right, at some point, whether that was college, professionally, and so they know what it takes to be successful, and they get pushed, right? How do you give athletes feedback? I mean, is that something you guys have already in your program, or is it something where they have to come up to you and ask you, hey, how am I progressing? Or if parents, I'm sure parents come up to you and say, hey, is my son or daughter where they need to be? And I bet it's sometimes tough to give them, because you're going to give them accurate information, right? You're going to be honest with them. And sometimes it may not be what they want to hear, but you have to be upfront with them. So how do you handle those situations?
Those are necessary conversations, and sometimes they're uncomfortable, where it's like, hey, sir or ma'am, talking to the parent, your son or your daughter, they're not here. They're not training with intention, with urgency, and we need to kick them into another gear. So that conversation is held at the gym, but then we also let the parents know, like, hey, you need to let them know, like, on the ride here, like, they got to flip their switch and they got to get it going, because we don't want parents wasting their money at the end of the day, because they're paying for a product, and our job is to deliver a result. So it's just like school. It's like you have to be there with intention and wanting to get better. So sometimes those are uncomfortable conversations, but on the flip side, we do see the progression, and we actually, again, because of school, we have a performer of the month. We do 2 performers of the month when we say, hey, this athlete and this adult athlete, because we're all athletes, right? We have 3 performers of the month, and we recognize their efforts. So that's what we do, both on when it's time to give them feedback, but then also when it's time to recognize them.
All right, man. I think I'm gonna have to go sign up. I wasn't aware of that adult performer
So
of the month, man.
We're waiting for
I
you
got
to
something
become
to shoot for now, man.
We're waiting for you to be the Jet Performer of the Month. Let's go.
I'm gonna have to go throw on the gear and get after it, man.
And I do want to add about rewinding it a little bit. So parents, there is a fee to train at Jet Sports Training, but we also have a 501c3 nonprofit. It's called the Jet Sports Foundation. If you go to jetsportsfoundation.org, you guys can register your athlete for a scholarship to Jet Sports Training. So we understand that not everybody can afford Jet Sports Training, but our foundation raises funds year round, so we could scholarship athletes year round.
Awesome. That's awesome. Very, very caring of you guys to put that out there. And so parents, if you're thinking about it, reach out to these guys, man. They got a good thing going over there. Go pay them a visit. I'm sure they'll let you tour the facility. They got a website. They're on social media. I mean, these guys are everywhere. You can find them. You just got to want to get out there and meet with them. And so, we're at that time of year. We're at starting second semester. We just had a successful. Our teams are doing pretty well. Desert View went 11-1. They were a couple games away. And so our sports programs are healthy. It's wrestling season right now, and they're doing a great job. Our soccer teams are doing a great job. Sunnyside was ranked last year in the nation in soccer and wrestling. Well, you guys know that result, right? They're if they don't win a state championship, it's a disappointing year. And so, they're chasing another one this year. And the neat thing is to see our student athletes go on, to earn Division I scholarships or Division II. Doesn't matter, right? They're earning scholarships and keeping their education going and being able to compete. And so, I want to put that out there, for parents, because it does it takes a lot of hard work, and I want to give a shout out to our coaches as well. It's they put a lot of time into what they do, right? And I wish we could pay them a lot more. We have raised our pay, I will say that, and we're very competitive. But these men and women put in a lot of time. And they put in a lot of time, not only during the season, but in the off season. And they do that because they know what it takes to be successful, in terms of having winning programs. And so, the future's bright here in Sunnyside for both of our high schools. And we can't wait to continue to see them be successful. And as we're wrapping up here, I want to give you guys an opportunity, to give out any last thoughts, any shout outs out there. I want to give a shout out to your mom, Bobby, because man, she's one of those people that I looked up to as behind the scenes. I saw her, grow and become a professional. When I was in second grade, I had Miss Armijo as my teacher, and your mom was she was a teacher's aide at the time, and she finished her degree, became a teacher, became a principal, became a district director, worked for the university. I mean, talk about work ethic and being successful. She's one of those people I always admired, for the success she had, and I think we all have these people in our lives, right? Whether they're coaches, teachers that made an impact in our lives, that made us believe in ourselves, right? Because I do think sometimes a lot of kids in our community, we're first generation, whether that's first generation college, first generation high school graduate, first athlete in your family, first scholarship athlete in your family. We have a lot of those first generation accomplishments, and sometimes we need that extra push, right, from that person. That it takes that one person to believe in you, and your confidence skyrockets, man. It just jumps off the wall, and the rest is history. That's all sometimes someone needs. And so, I'll leave it up to you guys. Any last comments? Any last shout outs?
I'll comment a story that my mom, I don't know if she's putting some salsa on it, but she does remember being the teacher's aide in your class, and she said that you didn't speak English at the time, and a lot of kids didn't speak English, and to see you guys progress throughout the years and become what you are today, I know it makes her very proud, and she's still in education to this day. So again, I think that those are great stories to be passed down, and again, evidence for our future. But I'm a sports guy, so I'm gonna give my shout outs to all the coaches that have laid a hand on me, and they have their fingerprints all over me, because I am who I am because of coaching. I wasn't very gifted in the classroom, and again, back to being intentional, I wasn't always intentional when it came to schoolwork, but coaches is what kept me grounded. We have Mr. Robert Jaramillo, who was my Little League coach, who taught me, hey, this is how you play the game. And then we have coaches from Coach Sanchez's staff, even Coach DeBerry, yourself, you guys. That consistency that I got at a very young age was very, very influential, and made a big impact in my life, because, again, you guys preached more than just sports itself. You guys said, hey, you guys got to get educated, which I really, really admired. And though there was times when I was at the U of A, I wanted to just drop and leave, I would always think about the lessons at Sunnyside. And I was able to finish, and I got my degree from there. But that doesn't happen without those echoes of my coaches in my head. So shout out to my coaches. You guys changed my life at the end of the day. So thank you.
That's awesome.
Awesome. For me, shout out to my sister. She's the medium between what we do and how we can have these conversations with you here. She caters to us a lot. My parents are both were employees and retired from the district. My mom and dad. Shout out to my family and everyone that's holding me accountable at home. Shout out to Marina and my daughters. So those are my shout outs.
Sunnyside through and through, right?
Yeah.
And you guys made it easy too, because you wanted to be good, you wanted to be better, and you guys had that work ethic. And so, to the young people listening out there, it's so advantageous to have work ethic. I mean, whatever you do, work hard at it. Whatever you do, make good decisions, be committed to it, and you'll have great outcomes. And surround yourself. How many times does your coaches say, surround yourself with good people?
That's very true.
Surround yourself with people that make good decisions, right? We talked always about, hey, grades matter, attendance matters, be here. If you guys weren't in school, your coaches were calling, your teachers were calling, saying, hey, where are you at, right? And your parents were super cooperative. They back in the day, parents used to drop off kids and say, hey, you do whatever you got to do. If
it
my
out.
kid's out of line, you take care of it, right?
Very true.
And it's a little different now. I mean, it's different audiences and different parents, but we still have amazing parents out there that trust us, right? And trust our coaches, trust our educators, and trust this special community. So, with that, I want to give you guys a big thanks. I want to give you a big congratulations for doing what you're doing in this community. Keep doing it, man. Sky's the limit. And those listeners that are listening out there, give Jet Sports Training a look. Give them a visit. They're doing amazing things, and they're helping people. They're helping keep people not only in the Sunnyside community, but all over this great town of Tucson. And the proof is in the pudding. If you keep up with sports and you keep up with all sports and the articles and Jet Sports Network, it's all out there. It's all out there. So, with that, I want to wish you guys an awesome 2026. And that's it from here. Hasta la próxima.
All right, everybody. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Somos Sunnyside. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and found it entertaining. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and share our podcast with la comunidad. For updates on future episodes and more, be sure to follow us on social media and visit our website at susd12.org. We appreciate your support and can't wait to have you back for the next episode. Hasta la próxima vez en Somos Sunnyside.